reject it. Research shows that people actually feel less pain when they believe they are suffering for something of great value. We have psychological immune systems which often get triggered when we experience particularly traumatic events. These systems protect us from events that would assume would be intensely painful, and thus we are able to recover from them better than often assume we would. People are not aware of the fact that their defenses are more likely to be triggered by intense than mild suffering. Thus, they mispredict their own emotional reactions to misfortunes of different sizes. We're more likely to look for and find a positive view of things we're stuck with than of things we're not. It's only when we can't change our experience that we look for ways to change our view of the experience. Inescapable situations will trigger our psychological immune systems, which then promote our brain's ability to deliver a positive outlook and happiness from an escapable situation. We tend to overvalue freedom. We can easily imagine all the benefits freedom will provide us, but we tend to underestimate the fact that freedom hinders us from moving forward because we are constantly debating if there are better options out there. Only when we are fully committed and gone all in do we reach an inescapable situation where our brain can easily justify our behaviour and circumstances. Simply writing about traumatic events, especially if you explain the event itself, people show increased psychological and physiological well-being, including increased viral antibodies. Uncertainty can preserve and prolong our happiness. Uncertainty can preserve and prolong our unhappiness. When events seem rare, unexplainable or strange, we tend to value them more than the things that can be explained, seem ordinary, or otherwise make general sense. Note, does this explain something about why we love to believe myths or religious stories, often with very strong emotions? The least likely experience is often the most likely memory. We tend to remember the best of times and the worst of times, not the most likely of times. There is little evidence supporting the idea that women are more irritable during the menstrual cycle. Wealth will make you much happier when you go from poverty to middle class, but not much more happier beyond that. Some making $5 million per year is about as happy as someone making $100,000 per year. Everyone says that having children is a wonderful and joyous experience. When you actually measure happiness of parents, however, you see that it is not raised at all. We continue to perpetuate the children bring happiness belief because it is a super replica. That is, people who believe kids are great tend to have them and pass on that belief, and people who believe the opposite tend to avoid having kids. The average person doesn't see themselves as average. The average person doesn't see themselves as average. One example, 90% of motorists consider themselves to be safer than average drivers. Rather than being caused by pure selfishness, this could be an indication of our tendency to believe we are unique and different from others, in good and bad ways. We don't always see ourselves as superior, but we almost always see ourselves as unique. Borocelli's calculation for happiness: multiply the odds of getting what you want by the utility of getting what you want, i.e., probability x pleasure. Each successive dollar provides a little less pleasure than the one before it. The determination of value of an item must not be based on its price, but on the utility it yields. The problem is that it's nearly impossible to predict the utility we will get from our choices because of the many biases we have. People are sensitive to the relative rather than absolute values. And that's a wrap on Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. Subscribe to our channel for future summaries and check out our website bestbookbits.com for the written summary and more. To buy the book, use the website store where you'll find this book and hundreds more to browse and purchase. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a thing or two about stumbling on happiness. Have yourself an amazing day, and thanks for watching and listening. BestBookBits.com presents A Beautiful Constraint, How to Transform Your Limitations into Advantages and Why It's Everyone's Business. Written by Adam Morgan and Mark Braden, published in 2015, weighing 245 pages. It describes how to take the kinds of issues that all of us face today, lack of time, money, resources, attention, know-how, and see them in the opportunity for transformation of oneself and one's organisation's fortunes. The book takes the reader on a journey through the mindset, method and motivation required to move from the initial victim stage into the transformational stage. The written summary can be found on our website, bestbookbits.com. So without further ado, I bring you the book summary of A Beautiful Constraint. The book in a nutshell. Every cloud has a silver lining. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Constraints are assumed to be a bad thing, but in reality, they can often be the grits that creates the pool. Rather than being a restrictor, they lead to bolder, more innovative solutions. Every person and every organisation faces constraints. When a more positive attitude and use of techniques can leverage these constraints for competitive advantage. The author recommends a 6-step process. Step 1, victim, neutralizer, and transformer. Step 2, break path dependence. Step 3, ask propelling questions. Step 4, can if. Step 5, creating abundance. And Step 6, activating emotions. Introduction. A constraint is a limitation imposed by outside circumstances or by ourselves that materially affects our ability to do something. The authors prefer the definition, a limitation or defining perimeter. Often the stimulus to find a better way of doing something. We should view constraints not as restrictive, but rather a stimulus for increased creativity and positive change. Many marginal systems focus on either managing out or removing constraint from a system. This book, however, advocates embracing the constraint. There are 3 types of constraint. Foundation. A limit in one of the key success factors of a category, e.g. Zappos online shoe retailer where customers can try on shoes in store. To overcome this constraint, they offered free return shipping. Resource, raw materials, time, money, and people, talent, etc. E.g. Southwest Airline, who had only 3 planes but 4 routes to serve. To overcome this, they revolutionised the industry by developing a turnaround time of just 10 minutes when it was 1 hour. Method, where you have to do something in a certain way, e.g. Arvine Eye Hospital in India used the principles from fast food to overcome the logjam in eye surgery. The 2 solid fuel engines that power the space shuttle are 4 feet, 8.5 inches wide, as that is the width of railway tracks needed to carry them from Utah to Florida. 4 feet, 8.5 inches is the size of the roads first built by the Romans. Thus, one of the most advanced pieces of technology is constrained by the convention set up 2,000 years ago. Mick Jagger's unique dance came about from years of performing on tiny shoes in small clubs. Google's homepage is simply because Larry Page was not adept at coding. Simcha Blas from Infom, Israel, noticed that one tree had grown taller than the others planted at the same time. A burst pipe meant water constantly dripped near the tree. Test helped him confirm that the drip irrigation not only leads to increased growth by crops by 20%, but also used 50% less water. Super Mario characterization came about due to the poor pixelation on 8-bit technology. Twitter's constrained 140 characters limit has driven its popularity. The book suggests a stepwise approach to turn constraint into abundance by a 3-part, 6-step process. Part 1, mindset. Step 1, victim, neutralizer, and transformer. Step 2, break the path dependence. Part 2, method. Step 4, compelling questions. Step 4, can if. And Step 5, creating an abundance. And Part 3, motivation. Step 6, activating emotions. Let's look at Step 1, victim, neutralizer, and transformer. How you perceive a constraint will affect your ability to deal with it. There are 3 kinds of mindsets that influence how you approach a constraint. Victim sees a constraint as a limiting problem, so will lower their ambition. Neutralizer sees a constraint as a roadblock on the way to their ambition. They will find a way around it without compromising their goal. And Transformer sees a constraint as an opportunity to improve their goal. Different constraints at different times trigger different reactions. Often people go through all three. In the 1980s, Dan Wilden was briefed by Phil Knight at Nike that he did not want any advertising that looked or felt or smelt like advertising. Whedon stuck a photo of Finnish Olympic runner Lassi Verin above his desk and thought what he'd say to him that would make him laugh. Since then, the culture inside the agency is to walk in stupid each day, so not driven by past convention. Marissa Mayer, ex-Google, knew the importance of self-imposed constraints. We need constraints in order to fuel passion and insight. Her team was restricted in a size, 625 gigabytes, and teams of just 3 with just 1 day to create a prototype. To help get into the right mainframe, the author poses a few questions to challenge yourself with. What if you increase the level of your constraint, e.g. from 12 months to 6 months, from 20% increase to 100% increase? Then answer the following question. Number 1, do you believe it is possible? Mindset. Number 2, do you know how to do it? Method. And number 3, how much do you really want it? Motivation. As regards to mindset, it's useful to think of past times where you or others have beaten the odds. Be aware of your surrounding culture, be it as these groups can unconsciously influence you positively or negatively. Are you surrounded by can-do people or cannot people? When Yusuf Burra first presented the idea of providing a laptop per child for $100, he was constantly confronted by naysayers. Sir David Ogilvy once said, "Thank goodness for the freedom of a tight brief. It's the very constraint that creates creativity, not hampers it." Psychologists found that when a fence was erected in the playground, the children used more space than before. Jerry Seinfeld imposed self-constraint of no sex or swearing to raise his own comic creativity. And step 2, break path dependence. We get locked into doing things certain ways without even thinking why. This blocks creativity. Constraint forces us to challenge these. Saito, Skirov, and Koch suggested organizations go through 3 stages of path dependence. Step 1, broad range of approaches used, left up to managerial discretion. And stage 2, adaptation of best practice. One recommended approach, some degree of flexibility. And stage 3, locked in. No room for flexibility. Often by this stage it becomes unconscious and never challenged. Thus we tend to approach problems in the same way. We look at the same data, we ask similar questions, judge things as the same old criteria, involve similar patterns, look at past solutions, and end up making the same decisions. No wonder we rarely unlock those intransient problems. Even with completely new situations, we tend to use old patterns. Einstein once said, "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." Historic reporting structures and language can lock us in, e.g. US government still reports employment in terms of non-farm payroll. Also, a department called optics will assume all answers must lie in optics. Daniel Kahneman talks on how the naming of something makes the invisible become invisible. There are 3 types of locking: cognitive, personal limiting mainframes; cultural, collective limiting mainframes; and procedural. People outside an industry are free of the locked-in mindset. This allows them to see new revolutionary solutions that the current incumbents are blind to. Moore's Law is as much a mindset as it is about the physics, because people believe the story, they make it happen. Reverse innovation. Rather than taking a product developed in an advanced market, creative innovation can come from working in more naive developing markets who are able to think differently and so open up new possibilities. CF, the cheap car, was developed in India. Dr. Louise Waters is the CEO of Leadership Public Schools in San Francisco. She noticed that kids from deprived backgrounds were 4 or 5 years behind in education standards by the time they reached high school. Rather than be constrained by this, she set an ambitious target that all her pupils would reach the standard by high school age, yet with no extra funding. This led to different approaches such as tailored learning for each child and getting instant feedback on learning by a revolutionary piece of technology. When Nike developed Fly Kit shoes, they needed to forget everything they knew about how to make uppers. Breaking path dependence first required an awareness of dependence and challenging that accepted wisdom, e.g. the benchmarks and KPIs used, the current relationships used, etc., etc. It's often achieved over many small steps as opposed to one big jump. The authors suggest identifying the most important 6 words used in an organisation and to then integrate them. Furthermore, they recommend mapping out all the process steps and challenging each one. It's also worthwhile looking at things through a different lens, e.g. using external people, including your consumers. Unilever challenged its own assumptions by asking what would happen to taste if they increased the amount of green tomatoes allowed in their recipe from 5% to 20%, a criteria set many years before and had never been changed. Surf dug deeper in their Savvy Shopper segment by mapping their entire day through their lens of the snakes and ladders game. They identified that cleaning is lonely and joyless. This allowed them to build new emotions into the brand. Visa changed who they wanted to be benchmarked against from their standard competitors such as Nike. The US Navy had to break many paths of dependence to develop aircraft carriers. One of the other sources to break conventions is to start asking different questions. Ask the same questions, get the same answers. For example, asking how to market a brand when in heavy constraint, such as dark markets where no advertising is allowed, as small brands are effectively in the dark shadows of high-spending brands. Virgin used the flight safety video as another advertising space to demonstrate the brand's distinctive personality. And step 3, ask propelling questions. Part of the way to break through is to start asking more powerful questions. Just focusing on being a bit better than your competition is a recipe for extinction. You need to think bigger and focus on better meeting the real needs of your consumers. Don't just be better, be really amazing. Don't just be better, be really amazing, says Larry Page of Google. He sees his role to ask bigger questions. He calls these 10x questions. He asks questions that on the surface seem ridiculous or impossible, such as, how can we reduce car accidents? Asking impossibly difficult questions demands novel solutions rather than staying inside the normal parameters of problem solution. These how-to or how-can questions are called propelling questions, as they force you to think differently. A propelling question has both a bold ambition and a significant constraint. The constraint of a propelling question is asking how to, bold ambition with constraint, e.g., how to grow better barley with less water. IKEA asked a propelling question, how to make a durable, well-designed table for $5. To answer this, they had to ignore the conventions of table making and explore lateral solutions. They found the answer by sawing drawers in half. Audi asked a propelling question, how to win Le Mans if our car could go no faster than the others? The answer was to make it more fuel efficient, as less pit stops. Hence the development of the first diesel racing car that won Le Mans 3 years in a row. Made.com asked a propelling question, how to exhibit at the world's most prestigious furniture exhibitions in Milan without paying for an exhibition hall. They were able to borrow the apartments of 4 of their supporters and use them as exposition space. They received over 1,000 guests. SAB asked how to increase barley yield and quality while reducing water consumption by 10%. They spoke to barley farmers and found that barley growth has 3 distinct stages. Reduced water in the middle stage promotes growth. The new approach reduced water consumption by 48%, yet increased yield with reduced cost per hectare of $40. George Bernard Shaw once wrote, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world, while the unreasonable man persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress belongs to the unreasonable man. All progress belongs to the unreasonable man." Consumers are becoming more demanding. Compromise is no longer tolerated, which becomes an empowering constraint. Those who unlock an area of compromise in a category open themselves up to great fortunes. The authors identify a range of different areas of constraint, but there may be others unique to your organisation. Constraint of foundation. A fundamental foundation for success, e.g., how to see shoes without a retail outlet on the high streets. Constraint of resource, budget, time, people skills, knowledge, e.g., how to launch a new rum brand without a budget. And constraint of method. We're constrained by a certain mode of delivery, e.g., how to win Le Mans without a faster car. These are, of course, external constraints on an organisations as well, e.g., political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal, etc. There are 4 sources of unreasonableness. The unreasonable regulator, e.g., US government set corporate average fuel economy goals of 54.4 miles per gallon by 2025. The unreasonable consumer. Why can't I have high fashion items at high street prices? I want cleaners that clean as well as other products but are ecologically friendly. I want the best mobile phones and the best networks without being tied into a contract, etc. The unreasonable consumer, e.g., Walmart demand high standards of pricing points from its suppliers. The unreasonable challenger. Challenges from outside the category, e.g., Airbnb, or challenges from a young upstart in a category, e.g., Tesla versus Mercedes. And step 4, can-if. Optimism erodes away over time. Optimism erodes away over time. That's why we need propelling questions and leaders that keep inspiring action towards the goal. Academics have shown that positivity correlates with both resilience and openness. You need to keep focused on what has to happen to make it work, rather than be derailed by why it can't work. The authors coin a phrase, can-if, versus we can't because. Fail your way forward. Fail your way forward. Keep investing in solving the problem. If at first you don't succeed, find a new way. Rather than getting trapped in just trying to do the same strategy again, so don't fall in love with your strategy, else it will blind you to its failings. IDEO's Tim Brown has observed that constraints, like most issues, are really one-dimensional. Thus, to really unpick a problem requires multiple layers of can-if. Taiwan needed to build a robust economic platform to withstand the pressures from mainland China, but they had a key constraint, natural resources. So the propelling question became, how do we boost our economy without natural resources? The first level answer from their can-if questions was, can we boost our economy without natural resources if we increase the level of education? But this led to the next constraint of a lack of teachers. The next can-if helped them to utilise graduates as teachers. This then fed the next identified constraint of lack of schools. This resulted in identifying new sources of funds, effectively taking funds from other government departments who would all benefit from raised educational standards. Since improving the education, Taiwan's economy has grown by 9% every year for 30 years, higher than Japan. They are the country of just 23 million, yet have the 4th largest cash reserves in the world. Useful sources of can-if are, we can if we think of it as metaphorical approaches that breaks down the constrained pattern of thinking, e.g., health services who see patients as customers. In the time it takes to load a game, players can now practice their skills, so no longer the upload time a negative experience of the game. The can-if we use other people to. Think laterally about who to ask help from. Duolingo has 1.2 million people translating for free as they see it as an opportunity to improve their language skills. We can if we remove X. Often simplifying a process helps unlock value and time. A chain of hair colouring salons in New Zealand stopped drying customers' hair, allowing the stylist to move quicker onto new customers, saving time and money. Citizen M looked at what people most wanted in the great hotel experience, bed, shower, technology and design, and took away the thing that mattered least. No docked sinks, no robes, no slippers, no tea, no minibar, no paper, receipts, etc. Thus, they were able to offer top hotel experiences at 75% of the price. We can if we access knowledge of. finding new sources of knowledge. PhD, the global media agency, tapped into the knowledge resource of its 3,000 global employee base. A brief would be open to employees. It included a gaming element where there was a publicised leaderboard of those who contributed the most. We can if we introduce a new product or service. Surf increased its fragrance levels, leading to a more emotionally rewarding experience. Surf grew by 36% globally from 2009 to 2012. We can if we substitute X for Y, e.g., substituting an airbag scarf for a cycle helmet, as many people found helmets flattened their hair. We can if we fund it by finding new sources of funding, e.g., crowdsourcing, customer sourcing, CF, Brewdog, etc. We can if we mix together, putting new things together. Recipes generated by a computer led to the Thai Swiss asparagus quiche. We can if we resource it by finding new resources that currently do not have, e.g., Rent a Runaway wanted to rent out top designer fashions, but they did not have the finance to buy the items, so they convinced top designers to supply them the dresses for free. Uber, Airbnb, and BlaBlaCar ride service in France are all examples of tapping into new sources. In Kenya, chicken farmers were losing a lot of chicks to aerial predators such as eagles and hawks. The other issue was disease, but farmers did not want to invest in inoculating all their chicks since most of them have gotten eaten. By painting the chicks blue, the eagles did not recognise them, thus increasing the yield, making it more cost effective for the farmers to inoculate. These two measures increased survival rates from 20% to 85%. However, this increased a knock-on problem: food. The can-if solution was to exploit the underground legions of termites, but the next issue was how to evacuate them. Another part of Kenya had already solved this issue by bundles of water cropped, soaked in water. And step 5, creating abundance. The award-winning TV show Whose Line Is This Anyway works off the core idea of constrained resources. The comedians see this as a leverage point for creativity rather than a restriction. It's easy solving problems with more resources, but more fun and rewarding to do it with less. To start, you need a positive mindset. Secondly, we need to be open to new resources. People born into poverty tend to be more resourceful than those born into a world of abundance. Thirdly, we rarely mine all the resource opportunities we have around us. For example, we only think of resources as those being within our immediate control. We tend to wait for resources to be given to us rather than going out hunting for new ones. The resources we do have, we do not extract all the resources possible from them. Finally, we do not think what resources we have that we could barter with. There are 4 common resources to explore. Invested stakeholders, e.g. Made.com was able to exhibit at Milan by displaying their furniture in 4 of their customers' spaces. External partners, e.g. SAB working closely with farmers. Resource owners, e.g. the NGO Cola Life used Coca-Cola distribution might to deliver packs of their dehydration salts to children suffering from diarrhea across Africa. Competition, e.g. Ford and Toyota collaborating on technologies for hybrid trucks. When Virgin America launched in 2007, their goal was to put glamour back into air travel. They wanted their airlines to feel like nightclubs in the sky, but they lacked money for their launch. They saw the planes as an asset they could leverage, so they flew Victoria's Secret models to their annual fashion show, gaining lots of PR for their in-flight pajama party. Those who share our agenda, values, mission, purpose are more likely to contribute resources. Also, those who recognise they lack something we have will also be up for bartering. The aim should be to work on selling people our mission, purpose, values, etc., and also helping them to see that what we have is what they're missing. The World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts benefit from the Dove Self-Esteem Program, as they have a shared vision of preparing girls to become fully functioning, successful adults. Nike gave away the intellectual property rights for its Making app, which catalogues 75,000 different materials by environmental impact and sustainability, because Nike values a sustainable future for all. And step 6, activating emotions. Admiral William McRaven, commander of the US Special Operations Command, wrote a book called Spec Ops. In it, he described 6 principles that make special operations successful: simplicity, security, repetition, surprise, speed, and purpose. Purpose helps drive meaning and internal motivation that overcomes the barriers along the way. It turns something from a want to a must. Gallup has shown how giving people meaning at work drives performance. After all, if you don't care about the problem, then less likely to solve it. Angela Duckworth identified grit as a key component of successful people. That tenacity to keep on pushing forward towards a goal despite obstacles, hurdles, and failure. She found out it was a bigger predictor of success than IQ. Desirable difficulties describe the notion that there can be some advantages of a disadvantage. For example, a person from a constrained background may be more resilient, more resourceful, and may have more drive to succeed than those born into affluence. No way out. When you offer people an early exit strategy, it allows people to opt out and not keep pushing. If there is no way out of something, then people are forced to keep on pushing. Utilizing different emotions. Negative emotions can be a powerful driver leading to persistence, commitment, and focus. Dan Wyden, W&K Advertising, likes a middle form of fear, anxiety. If you can remain insecure yet optimistic, you've got a pretty good chance of changing the world. If you can remain insecure yet optimistic, you've got a pretty good chance of changing the world. Many brands are born from dissatisfaction with the category. Brewdog came about because its founder hated the mainstream, industrial, monolithic, insipid, bland-tasted, apathetic beers that dominate the market, making them into the punks of beer. The UK pub chain J.D. Wetherspoon was named after a teacher who told Tim Martin he would never amount to anything. Juxtaposing and away from the negative emotion with it towards positive emotion offers an even greater chance of success. Research has shown that the most successful problem solvers toggle between looking at the broad range of stimuli, which relies on positive emotional energy, and then switching to a focused persistence, ideally driven by fear and anger, as these help you really focus your energies. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter and Square, talked about the value of tension in setting up his business. Professor Gabriel Ottewing, head of the Motivational New York University, has distinguished 3 approaches to reach a desired outcome. Indulge in. Create a vivid picture of what it would look like if so inspired by its positive emotions. Dwelling. Sitting in a place of negativity where think of all the things that could go wrong or what would happen if did not achieve this goal. This creates anxiety and fear that motivates. And toggling. The most effective space. It's a bit like an electric motor. The shift in between minus VE and plus VE creates that drive. Critically, though, it does need a plan that gets actioned. Stanford's Design for Extreme Affordability is one of the most difficult courses to get into. Only 6% of applicants accepted. They look for EQ, emotional intelligence, as much as IQ, as they realise the interrelationship between the students is critical to problem solving. They deal with high-stress situations, e.g., premature babies, so they need to remain calm under pressure. The futile zone. The resources curse. Countries rich in natural resources tend to do worse economically than those without resources. Norway accepted, as excess resources leads to complacency. This theme runs true with organisations and individuals. Tobacco companies bankrolled Formula One for decades. In 2005, the gravy train ended with the ban of tobacco sponsorship. Ron Dennis, the leader of the McLaren, instructed that every single process be integrated to identify areas of savings and improvement. This led to many step change processes, one which included reducing pit stops from 4 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Sometimes going for 0 can unlock new creative solutions. Some routes to explore areas. Drama and surprise. Brewdog had no money and hence no advertising, in a category where advertising drives sales. This forced them to be creative and make the brand come alive in social media. Drama helps the brand stand out, create attention, and engages emotion. It also promotes conversation and creates memorability. It's recommended to be unexpected to create surprise. Warburg Parker, the eyewear specialist, created an unexpected annual report where they talked about the inner workings, including unexpected facts and mistakes. Professor Sir Andre Grimm found it difficult to convince his science peers about electromagnetism, so he levitated a frog to bring alive the power of electromagnetism. Wow. Being interesting on the inside. If you do not have the budget to talk about yourself, you need to get others to talk about you. To do this, you need a great story. If it's not interesting, it's not shared. If it's not interesting, it's not shared. Thus, the focus is on creating interest. Sailor Jerry Rum was created by an advertising creative called Steve Grassi from his agency Quaker Mercantile. Ironically, he built it with no advertising spend. The brand was built through support of grassroots movement amongst punk bands and a clothing range. Grassi talks about how it was key to the tribe you want to engage. He claims that because he did not know how rum brands were meant to behave, he did it his own way, defying the conventions of the category. Grassi's next project was recreating old pre-industrial folk recipes such as rhubarb tea. The story behind this is Benjamin Franklin brought rhubarb seeds to America and gave it to King botanist John Bertram, who developed a tea from it. Quarter Round sells corduroy trousers with their riches running horizontally rather than vertically. They are distinctive and it creates a talking point. Airstop Beauty brand has grown to 43 stores worldwide. They want to put intelligence into beauty. Thus, say shop staff were asked to refrain from mindless small talk and chatter. Making a secondary medium your primary idea platform, this is about owning a distinctive media space. Alcohol advertising was banned in the 80s in France. Heineken developed different bottle shapes and sizes to match different drinking occasions, helping it grow by 600%. Aligned to scale. Building new types of partnerships. History has shown great advances are made when there is a strong coalition of people working towards a common goal. Citizen M did not have money for mass refurbishment. Vita, the Swiss furniture company, also did not have the money for co-developed retail outlets. A coalition meant Citizen M got their lobbies redecorated for free, and Verta got a showroom in every city. Other people's resources, using customers and consumers as your R&D resource. Commercial innovation. Vitamin Water developed an alliance with the rapper 50 Cent. English Rugby needed to raise $2.5 million in 2011. They placed a £250,000 bet with the bookies that they would win. Constraint-driven cultures. The culture of an organisation influences the accepted behaviour. The culture of an organisation influences the accepted behaviour. Often the history, the ways of the company does things, and the values of the founder, senior leaders, can deeply affect current behaviour. Embracing constraints is part and parcel of some of the organisation's culture. The key success factors appear to be big ambition and strong intent. Start from the top and empower key people. Make it central to the business. Be consistent. Be willing to challenge and integrate every partnership and process. Be a storytelling culture. Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, came from Småland, a place that used the rocks from the field to build the walls and the road. Kamprad was always looking at ways of using waste, hence why he used the feathers from plucked chickens to make affordable duvets. Such attitudes run all the way through IKEA. Nike had a problem with workers not wearing face masks to protect them from the toxic fumes from the glue. Rather than monitor them 24 hours a day, they instead developed a less harmful glue. Unilever's goal is to double its size whilst halving its environmental impact by 2020. They do not have all the answers, but they feel committed to work through the solutions. Change success takes a number of different factors. If one of them is not done, then it will not lead to the highest levels of success. Summary. Constraints make us search for solutions in new areas. They make us ask different questions and rethink things. Constraints help us expand, not constrict. In the global competitive world, we need to create better solutions, and constraint thinking is a powerful tool to inspire new ways of thinking and doing. And that's a wrap on A Beautiful Constraint by Adam Morgan and Mark Braden. Subscribe to our channel for future summaries and check out our website, bestbookbits.com, for the written summary and more. To buy the book, use the website store where you will find this book and hundreds more to browse and purchase. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Have yourself an amazing day, and go out and find a beautiful constraint. Welcome to the book summary of You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life, written by Jen Sincero and published in 2013. In this refreshingly entertaining how-to guide, best-selling author and world-traveling success coach Jen Sincero serves up 27 bite-sized chapters full of hilariously inspiring stories, sage advice, easy exercises, and the occasional swear word, helping you to identify and change the self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviors that stop you from getting what you want, create a life that you totally love, and create it now. Make some damn money already, the kind you've never made before. The written summary can be found at our website, bestbookbits.com. So without further ado, I bring the book summary of You Are a Badass. How and why? It's all in your subconscious. As Jen herself says, my subconscious made me do it. Jen really emphasizes the role of the subconscious plays in every decision we make. She describes it as the blueprint for our life and essentially makes up everything we consider to be our beliefs. The interesting part is that we are essentially completely oblivious to the subconscious beliefs, despite the fact that they run our lives. No matter what we do or how we do it, our subconscious mind and beliefs are controlling us. They run the show. Be in the moment. Jen emphasizes the importance of embracing the moment and being present. Doing this will let you lead a richer, joyful life. Being present gets you out of your head and connects you to your source energy, which raises your frequency, which attracts things of a like frequency to you. And all those high frequency things and experiences are already here, just waiting for you to join the party. All you have to do is shut up, show up, and usher them in. Ego. It's pretty clear that Jen is not a fan of the ego. She describes it as a false self. The self that's essentially being an arsehole. It really only acts so sabotage our lives, our happiness, and usually it rears its ugly head only because deep down we don't feel worthy. Jen refers to the ego as the big snooze because she believes that if our egos are acting up, it's because we're still asleep and haven't yet realized how amazing we are and how wonderful the universe is. The ego is your beliefs. It's based on fear and is the reason we don't step outside our comfort zones. It constantly holds you back and restricts you from doing the things you want to do the most. Jen emphasizes your ego to what she calls your true self or your superhero self. The part that is based on love and joy, allows you to be proactive and productive, and believes that your potential is limitless. You can do and be whatever you want. You can do and be whatever you want. The big snooze will do everything it can to stop you from changing and growing, essentially since you're attempting to obliterate the very identity that you and everyone else has come to know as you. Jen's steps for taking control back. Preventing the ugly ego are: stop at nothing. Have faith. Stay on course, no matter what happens. Believe that you are awesome. Be a badass. Embrace it. You have to love yourself. Jen prioritized the concept of loving yourself. How can you be unhappy when you truly love yourself? Here are Jen's top tips for self-love. Number 1, appreciate how special you are. Number 2, drown yourself in affirmations. 3, do things you love. 4, ditch the self-deprecating humor. And 5, let the love in. 6, don't compare yourself to others. And last, number 7, forgive yourself. Who cares what they think? We've all heard it before, but Jen really pushes the idea that you have got to stop worrying about what everybody thinks of you. Who cares what they think? You do you and celebrate it. Living in fear that we might not meet other people's expectations only leaves you miserable and scared of doing the things you love. Jen emphasizes that you cannot control what people think or do. The only thing you can control is what you say and do. People's opinion of you say more about them than it does about you. Stay true to yourself. The journey to happiness. Jen reminds us that although we have all different journeys and paths, ultimately we have the same destination in mind: happiness. Her steps to finding this happiness are: number 1, start now. Don't waste time worrying about whether what you're doing is right. Just make the first move. And 2, find what you're good at and do it. 3, don't necessarily mix it up too much. If you love it, don't question it. You don't have to be different. And 4, remember that we all evolve. You don't necessarily have only one true calling. You can change career paths. It's okay. And number 5, follow your intuition. 6, allow yourself to dream and follow your dreams. And last, number 7, most importantly, love yourself. Take it further. Meditate. Something that Jen highly recommends is meditation. So many people worry about how to meditate. Have you done it for long enough? Were you in the right position? Did your mind wander too much? Jen suggests you stop worrying about how you're doing it and just start meditating. There's no right or wrong, but she reckons that starting will change your life, so give it a go. Change your thinking. Positive thinking is key. Our thoughts are the most powerful tools we've got. Through our thoughts, we create our realities. Through our thoughts, we create our realities. Jen says that it's only after you change your thinking that things change. We often sit here thinking that if only something changes, then we'll be able to be more positive. But really, you have to think positively first. Then changes will over. Trust the process and believe you can. If you want to attract good things and feelings into your life, send awesomeness out to everyone around you. It can be as simple as leaving $1 more than you normally would every time you tip, or smiling, complimenting people, and making them laugh. Have gratitude. Gratitude Jen describes as much more than just manners or niceness. It's a state of being. She credits feeling awesome to being in a state of gratitude. Not only does it make you feel good, but it actually strengthens your faith. Faith is having the audacity to believe in the not yet seen. Faith is the audacity to believe in the not yet seen. It is the muscle you use when you decide to blast outside your comfort zone and transform your life into something that practically unrecognizable to you in your present reality. Faith smothers your fear of the unknown. It allows you to take risks. Faith is the stuff of leap and the net will appear. Forgive or fester. We all know that forgiveness is hard, but Jen identifies forgiveness as an act of looking after yourself. It's not at all about the person you need to forgive. By allowing yourself to eliminate the negative feelings you may have had, it means you put yourself first and allow yourself to be happy and free from those thoughts. Don't hold on feelings of anger, resent, or hurt. You have to let go and move on. Don't let someone else be responsible for your happiness. Don't let somebody else be responsible for your happiness. It's about putting your desire to feel good before your desire to be right. It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness instead of pretending it's in somebody else's hands. How to get over your own bullshit. We get to choose and experience our own reality. It comes down to making a choice, Jen describes. Making a choice to create a life you want to live. Let go of the things that don't serve you well, any negativity or pessimism, and change your reality to one filled with joy and happy experiences. Most of the time, it's not a lack of experience that's holding us back, but rather the lack of determination to do what we need to do to be successful. We put so much energy into coming up with excuses why we can't be, do, or have the things we want, and designing the perfect distractions to keep us from our dreams. Imagine how far it would get if we just shut up and used all that energy to go for it instead. Jen highlights procrastination as one of the key ways you constantly self-sabotage. Procrastination is simply another way to let excuses get in the way of what you really want. If you were serious about living a better life, you have to stop procrastinating. All it takes to turn the fear factor around is learning to be comfortable in instead of terrified of the unknown. And this is done through faith. On the other side of fear is your freedom. On the other side of fear is your freedom. mirrors. Jen explains that those who you consider the closest to are essentially a mirror of yourself. They reflect how much or little you love or respect yourself. Your reality is created by what you focus on and how you choose to interpret it. This goes for everything, including the things you focus on about the people in your world. Jen believes that people come into your life for a reason, and you into theirs for a reason. You need to see how you can help them grow and develop as a person and how they can help you in return. Seek the beauty in people, and they will seek and celebrate the beauty in you. Get out there and kick ass. You have to make a decision. Jen emphasizes that too often we don't make the tough decisions. We sit back and we don't commit. But by making a decision, it's signing yourself up, making a commitment to do everything you can to reach your goal. If you don't make the decision to start now, you'll never actually start. So commit, decide, and follow your dreams. So often we pretend we've made a decision, when what we've really done is signed up to try until it gets too uncomfortable. Nobody gets to the top of the mountain without falling on his face over and over again. The only failure is quitting. The only failure is quitting. Everything else is just gathering information. Money. Jen acknowledges that in today's world, if you want to do something big, make drastic changes, and better your life, you're likely going to have to spend some money. Whether it's money you've been saving up, getting a loan, racking up a credit card, bill, or borrowing from friends or family, do it. Do whatever it takes to change your life. It's scary when it means partying with money, but it's about having faith in the process and following your dreams. This is about taking a leap of faith into a new realm that you strongly desire to be in, demanding of yourself that you can rise to the occasion and start living your damn life already. Jen emphasizes the importance of balancing the strength of your faith versus your fear. You have faith in the universe, and that has to outweigh your fear of failure. Essentially, in the words of Jen, you need to surrender to the universe. Too often, we think that we need to try and take charge of the situation. Fear-based thinking. Instead of having faith and gratitude and allowing the universe to deliver. Love-based thinking. In short, we think we can do a better job of manifesting than the universe can. Do it. Jen discusses how too often people want to change. They can invest in it, but both time and money, but they still don't follow through and make things happen. Jen recognizes that obviously the people that don't follow through didn't want it as much as they said they did. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, take risks, and continue to follow through if you want to reap the benefits. Challenge yourself, grow and develop. Be always moving forward. Never stay stationary. Never get comfortable. Keep moving through each new challenge instead of stagnating and settling. The muscle of kickassery is like any other muscle. You have to use it or lose it. Jen's final words. Give yourself the permission and the means to be who you really are, regardless of what anybody else thinks or believes is possible. Regardless of what anybody else thinks or believes is possible. You are powerful. You are loved. You are surrounded by miracles. Believe, really believe, that what you desire is here and available to you. And you can have it all. Conclusion. Key takeaways. Don't let your ego get in the way. Always be positive. Surround yourself with people who reflect you well. Love yourself. Forgive others. Don't hold on to anger. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Always have gratitude. Don't let money hold you back. Get it wherever you can. And last, just start now. Take the first step to transforming your life. And that's a wrap on this fantastic book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Subscribe to our channel for future summaries and check out our website, bestbookbits.com, for the written summary and more. I want to thank Paul Miners from his website, paulminers.com, for sharing the summary. To buy the book, use the website store where you'll find this book and hundreds more to browse and purchase. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Go out and have yourself an amazing day, you badass. Welcome to the book summary of Your Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer,
Published in 1976 and weighing 256 pages and having sold over 35 million copies. If you're plagued by guilt or worry and find yourself unwillingly falling into the same old self-destructive patterns, then you have erroneous zones, whole facets of your approach to life that act as barriers to your success and happiness. Dyer shows you how you can take charge of yourself and manage how much you will let difficult times and people affect you. Dyer gives you the tools you need to break free from the negative thinking and enjoy life to the fullest. The book is available on Amazon with the link in the description to buy. So without further ado, I bring you the book summary of Your Erroneous Zones. The whole theory of the universe is directed unearily to one single individual, namely you. Chapter 1, Taking Charge of Yourself. The essence of greatness is the ability to choose personal fulfillment in circumstances where others choose madness. A true barometer of intelligence is an effective, happy life lived each day in each present moment of every day. Your thoughts are your own, uniquely yours to keep, change, share, or contemplate. No one else can get inside your head and have your own thoughts as you experience them. You do indeed control your thoughts, and your brain is your own to use as you so determine. You cannot have a feeling, emotion, without first having experienced a thought. Take away your brain and your ability to feel is wiped out. A feeling is a physical reaction to a thought. Your conclusion is also inescapable. If you can control your thoughts and your feelings come from your thoughts, then you are capable of controlling your own feelings. And you can control your feelings by working on the thoughts that preceded them. Simply put, you believe that things or people make you unhappy, but this is not accurate. You make yourself unhappy because of the thoughts that you have about the people or the things in your life.